Welcome back to the Daily Dope Show. I'm Brando, the Weed Commando, and today, good news coming out of North Carolina. So again, proving once again that this isn't really a partisan issue, or maybe it is, because we'll see. There's some classic Republican obstructionism going on when it comes to the medical marijuana law. I did a report about 2 years ago when they passed in North Dakota because it was kind of a surprising thing then, and their medical marijuana law was supposed to be one of these ones that was an actual a good medical marijuana law. But whenever you got Republicans running the show in the government, then you don't get any kind of good results, especially with marijuana policies, especially with marijuana policies that were already passed, as we've seen with Chris Christie, Governor LePage in Maine. I mean, the list is too long to even begin. There's even like on the local level, your state rep Republicans in Lansing and, down in Florida there. These are the people that really are on the ground screwing you. And then you got people like Pete Sessions, another Republican, who won't let an amendment or anything like that get on any spending bills to help banking or veterans for marijuana. And it's everywhere. Republicans obstructing marijuana every chance they get, everywhere you go. That's the theme of this whole war on drugs that we're having. And the DEA is basically full of right wingers. They're doing propaganda every day, and it's like, come on, guys, when is this gonna ever end? Republicans, you can take this issue and make it your own. You can, because the Democrats are just leaving the ball right there on the table. You can grab it and run with it. But anyway, it's really the activists that have been doing all the legalizing marijuana from coast to coast, everywhere you go. And unfortunately, a lot of times they leave it up to the legislator to do the rules. And when that happens, you get these, obstruction that never ends, or seemingly never ends. I mean, just look at Maryland, look at New Jersey. There's several states where the obstruction just went for so long that, Americans for Safe Access be giving them like a D minus every time. There's no excuse for that. So activists, again, did the job. So thanks to the activist-led petition drives, North Dakota will officially vote on full cannabis legalization this November. Enough signatures were collected by activists to qualify the ballot initiative that would allow adults 21 and over to legally consume marijuana recreationally, said Secretary of State Al Yeagers. And I encourage everybody to go vote for that shit, as always. Dave Owen was part of the group that got medical marijuana on the ballot 2 years ago in North Dakota, but told the Bismarck Tribune, quote, that its implementation got bogged down into too many details, leading to delays involving the legislator. Patients still don't have access to medical marijuana, according to local media. Unbelievable. Owen is the chairperson for legal. Oh, and by the way, they're still arresting people with marijuana, even if you say, well, I'm using it for medical purposes, even if you're from a different state and have a medical card from that state, which is what happened to a friend of mine. And I haven't forgot about you. But anyway, yeah, so their medical marijuana, the passage of that really essentially did absolutely nothing. So thank you, obstructionists. Owen is the chairperson for Legalize ND, the group that sponsored the recreational marijuana initiative. Though the group submitted 17,695 signatures submitted to the state's office, only 14,637 signatures qualified as valid. That surpassed the necessary figure of 13,452 signatures for the measure to make the ballot. The North Dakota ballot measure is somewhat radical as it does not set limits on the amount of marijuana citizens can possess or grow, unlike the legislation found in states that have legalized recreational cannabis. In addition, the measure has framework that would approve the commercial cultivation and legal sales of cannabis. Owen told the Bismarck Tribune that he wrote a very simple measure that would be implementable on day one, partly in response to the current holdup over medical marijuana in the state. Quote, this measure is basically a referendum, Owens said. Do you want recreational marijuana? Yes or no? Um, Eric Altieri, who serves as the executive director of National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Law, NORML, applauded the hard work and dedication from the campaign and countless volunteers who made the ballot initiative possible. Quote, marijuana legalization is no longer a regional or partisan issue, Altieri said. Well over 60% of all Americans support ending our nation's failed prohibition, and I expect North Dakota voters will send shockwaves across the country this fall when they join the growing contingent of states who have chosen the sensible path of legalization and regulation over prohibition and incarceration. In June, a poll found that a plurality of plurality. All right, sorry about that. Basically, the poll didn't look very, promising. Usually, when you do these polls, you hope to see the yeses that are over 60%. So when the actual vote happens, you're still going to get over 50%. Well, here we have support is at 46%, and then 39% against. And then you have 15% who are undecided. So the undecided are going to decide it, essentially. The undecided have enough votes to, add enough to the no votes to make it happen. So this is where there's going to be an actual battle. You might see some prohibition groups spend some money in North Dakota because they might see it as an easy win, like Arizona or something. But who knows? I have my hopes for this to pass, for people to vote this in. And I think the whole country is ready. I think it's like when it comes to the politicians, yeah, the Republicans are the diehard prohibitionists. We can show you evidence of that all day long. I can go over every Republican that's in office right now, and I guarantee you less than 1% of all Republicans in office right now have any kind of proactive stance to legalize marijuana or end prohibition. Whether they're libertarians, Tea Partiers, I hate the government, conspiracy nuts, whatever you want to call them. A lot of right-wingers out there just simply act like, oh, the government, they're bad. We don't want to pay taxes because taxes is theft and all this other stuff. But yet they still think that prohibition of marijuana somehow is a good policy. They're like, Constitution to the letter, especially the Second Amendment. But when it comes to, losing all your rights because the government found you with a, and isn't there, constitutional things that would prevent prohibition from even happening? Yes, there is. So, Republican voters are more or less on board. But that's still a lot of the constituency out there that is against legalization. I mean, I'm not bullshitting. If that wasn't true, then when you go see these votes, it'd be way closer it'd be way more of a blowout if the Republicans were on board. Now there is a lot of Republicans that vote yes for it, obviously, and there's a lot of Democrats that vote no for it. So and I don't even like to classify myself as a Democrat because there is people like that exist that are so centrist right. They're like to the right of center, but they want to act like they're liberals on this issue and that issue. But when it comes to marijuana, a lot of times they're not on board. So there's a lot of shit going on. It's hard to really gauge. I've been to North Dakota. I went to Standing Rock, and I've been to Bismarck, and I get the overall sense that it's a pretty conservative place. I can't really. What else can you say about it? And what else can I say about this story? I can't think of anything. So have a good one. Check back later to see if anything happened with updates on this story and many others at the Daily Dope Show, where, we're kicking and screaming, dragging these prohibitionists out of this ridiculous bullshit. Have a good one. Peace.